to MacBreak Studio. I'm your host, Mark Spencer, and with me again in the studio is Brian Gary.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, Brian. So what I like about working with Brian here is I never know what we're going to talk about. So
it's a surprise.
Enlighten me. What's going to happen today?
You are a new owner of a Canon 7D, are you not?
I am. Yeah, I'm very, very excited about it.
Yeah. So what I'm going to talk about is a few utilities out there, third-party utilities, that help you either on the set with the DSLR media, or once you want to start working with this before, whether you're going to cut in Final Cut, Premiere, doesn't matter, Media Composer 5, how to get that footage into edit-ready format. Okay? All right. So the first thing is, let's take a look at Shotput Pro, okay? Shotput Pro is a utility that allows you to take the cards while you're on set, for example. Set is the perfect opportunity to use this. And you want to make a copy because the beauty of these cards is the fact that there's no tape and it's seemingly instant off the cards and you're just copying files over, ready to go. But cards are finite, meaning you tend to only go out in the field with so many cards.
Right.
And at some point, those cards need to be erased and used again.
Reused again, right.
So the problem, or what Shotput Pro addresses, is the problem that you can have if you just plug your card in and do a Finder copy. Which you can do, but what Shotput Pro does is it adds a layer of verification on top of that. So when you say to the assistant director, or I mean to the assistant camera person, or to yourself, go ahead, put that card back in the camera and format.
Yeah.
Which is always that scary moment, but you have to do it. You know that you've actually got a good copy.
Because if you just copy into the Finder, you could have had some kind of error in the copy, and you don't have time to sit there and watch every single shot, every single take.
Because it will do, there's two types of verification it can do, but the one that takes the least amount of time actually is a very good, byte by byte verification. The other one, it's kind of going checksum to checksum. Okay. What's really cool though about this is I'm going to click on the settings button. Again, these are like utilities that do one or two things and they do them really well. Okay. I can have an offload, doesn't just say destination. It says destinations. Exactly. So what that means is, let's say I have a laptop on set and I have my internal hard drive and I have an external FireWire drive. And I'm plugging my cards in via USB card reader. I could set up multiple drives so that it's actually reading and copying to two places at once.
At the same time, so you've got some backup that you could immediately hustle off set or something, keep those separate from each other.
Because when it's ones and zeros, you only have data when you have data twice, not when you have it once. Because all it would take is this hard drive to crash and it's gone.
And you're done.
Yeah,
right,
so at least on set.
But hard drives never crash.
Never, ever. Even the solid state ones never crash. So it's as simple as that. I mean, basically, if I were to just now plug in a drive, I'd click on the refresh drive list, it would show up here. I just double click it, it adds it in, says it's ready to go. I'm telling it just to offload right onto my internal hard drive, and then you just click begin.
And you could plug your camera in directly, USB or a card reader.
Whatever the case is. And what it's going to do is copy these over, and again, if I had multiple drives, it would be bursting them out at the same time.
Okay, and it's pretty fast?
Very fast. Oh, it's as fast as the USB and
that's
everything.
That's going to be a limit.
And then the verification, as you can see, copy verified is going on. And once this finishes, I'll go up here, we can close this window and see offload complete and verified.
Okay, so now you can feel good.
Exactly. And if I want to, I can look in the preferences. And you can see maximum number of simultaneous copies. So let's say you're on a 17-inch MacBook and you've got the card bus slot going to maybe eSATA and you've got the FireWire and USB. You could be blasting out, or if you're at a tower and you've got multiple buses that you can go through, you can just jack this all the way up to 10, as you can see. Here's the two different kinds of verification. You can do a file size comparison, which is what I said, it's like a checksum, or a byte by byte, which is going to be longer, but when you start looking at the cost of the media to replace that media, it's no longer about a card. I mean, what's on that card could be worth $10,000. Your memories worth $100,000.
Your memories are priceless.
They are. And if this is in a professional environment, which is why here at the end, you have the opportunity to create, like if I were just to come up here and clear this queue, it would say, would you like to save a log? So if I'm an assistant camera person and I need to prove that I went through and I did all this.
Right, I did my job. You've got a history, you got a trail there, like an audit trail.
Exactly, of what went where. So if I go down onto the desktop and look here in the and offload, you can see I called it camera test because I gave it a name, and then there it is, the normal file structure.
And the whole file structure is intact, exactly like it was on the card.
Yes.
Now, will this also erase the card for you, or format the card, I guess you should say?
You can. If you go back here to the options, you can see that there are options inside of here where you can automatically eject, format the card. I don't recommend doing that, and even the makers of Shotput Pro don't fully endorse that, because you really should be formatting the cards in camera.
In the camera.
You know, because they all have their own proprietary format, which may or may not be, you know, completely compatible with the way that the OS would do it.
And that's quick anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
To do that. Okay.
So that's one
Very
thing.
good.
So here's how you can save your stuff and make sure that when you go into post, you've got copies of everything and you got a nice log.
No transcoding or anything like that. Just pure get the stuff in and make sure you've got it.
So to give you a little bit more information, if you want, you can go to there. It's imagineproducts.com, and that's where you can get Shotput Pro.
Great.
Okay. Canon released a plugin, which is a freebie. If you go to Canon's website and you look in the 7D, it actually they released a plugin so that you could come here, and if I look at my preferences, I could deal directly with the EOS movie format that's on the card. So you can see right now, it's looking at the card and it's seeing I have this media in there, and just like any other log and transfer operation, set in and out, if I pull up those preferences again, I can sit there and say, what do I want it to be?
So you can choose what to transcode it to.
All the way up to 444.
So it's a plugin that you download from the Canon site. Does the plugin itself have a name? Just like
it's the E1, the Canon E1.
E1, okay.
EOS E1 plugin.
And you run an installer, and then it just shows up within the log and transfer window in Final Cut Pro. You can just click.
It adds another format to the AVC HD and the P2 and everything like that. And it works just like the other ones.
So this is, you would use this together, right? You use Shotput to get all your data in, and then you could use the Canon plugin within Log and Transfer to change that H.264 codec to a much more editing-friendly codec.
Any one of those ProRes formats. Because in addition to actually reading off cards, what it's doing right now, you can say instead of a card, go to a folder.
Okay.
Okay?
Beautiful. Love it.
Now, there's one other option that you can look at, and Red Giant Software has come out what they call Magic Bullet Grinder. And it's similar to Compressor, where it's a three-step process, import, decide what you want to do, and then submit to do it. It's the same thing here. Add some files, set the format, and go. The idea behind Grinder is what I want to do is quickly convert this media that's coming off the H.264 media coming off these Canon cameras into an edit-friendly format. So it's as simple as I can come here and I can go into my card, which is loaded, and I can just I'll just grab 2 of these files and just drag them in. Now, once inside of here, I get to decide what I want to transcode this to.
So this is an alternative to the log and transfer window in Final Cut with that Canon plugin.
Exactly. And what it does is a couple of things. One, it allows you a few choices. It doesn't give you all the choices that you got with the Canon plugin, because you're missing LT inside of here.
Not all the 5 ProRes options.
Exactly. But what it still does is it gives you the standard ProRes, etc. But they have tuned this to be multitasking and multi-threading. So if you've got 8 cores, it's going to send, if you have 8 movies, it's going to send 8 movies out at the same time, 1 to each core. So it can be very fast.
Faster, okay.
That's one thing that it does. The other thing that it does is you can do this, original plus timecode. You're going to do a movie that's going to burn into the window into a proxy. So what you could do is immediately add a timecode track into the file. I'm just going to go ahead and do this and start it. And it's going to say, where do you want it to go? I'll just put it into this Grinder file. And it's going to not only make the proxy movie, it's going to do a window burn, and it's going to create an original to reference back to that has the same time code. So as you can see right now, it's making the proxy movies. And once we go in here, because it took next to nothing to add a time code track.
Because there is no time code with these cameras. You shoot movies with these cameras, there's no time code.
Right. I mean, the EOS plugin does an interesting thing where it kind of interprets a time code based on time of day stamps.
Right.
This is, again, doing the 0 start and going
So every clip will start from 0?
Exactly. But if I go into my Grinder tests here, you can see if I look at the proxy of the movie, I have a window burn.
Wonderful, and that's
certified
your proxy,
bias.
so it hasn't affected your original
exactly.
movie at all. But you've
and
got
these are
that
really
you can
light.
lay on top.
Exactly.
Okay.
And again, to find out more information about this, you could go right over to the Red Giant software website, and it's called Magic Bullet Grinder.
Cool. Shotput Pro, the EOS, the Canon plugin, and Magic Bullet Grinder.
Yes,
Great.
all in one episode.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching MacBreak Studio.